Here at Harvard University, the Brown Bears trailing right now against the Crimson 21-2. We welcome you back to Harvard Stadium alongside Eric Galanti. I'm Alex Vispoli, and Eric, in that first half, Harvard looked a lot more like the team that was picked to finish atop the conference than they did in their Week 1 opener.
Yeah, certainly on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Brown has 4 yards rushing in that first half. It's been a great job by Harvard and had a couple of interceptions in this game. Really haven't allowed Brown to do anything on the offensive side. Do have some passing plays. We'll look at some of the highlights here. There have been some pretty good passing plays for Brown, but the Harvard pressure is pretty good. You see that sack there. It was Smith early. This is a great play. Stepping up in the pocket, fires the ball. This sets up Harvard's first touchdown with Booker, who gets in from 16 yards out.
Yeah, the Crimson went with the freshman Jake Smith early, but after the defense for Brown really woke up, picked up this safety to make it 14-2. Harvard went to a different quarterback. They also found some success defensively.
Well, that's one right there where you can read the eyes of the quarterback, make that defensive play on the interception. Tanner Lee, who takes it back for a touchdown.
Harvard's defense was firm. The defense itself pitched a shutout. Then they went to the Wildcat formation. Levance Northington scored from 6 yards out for the third Harvard score of the half. And Harvard, despite a late Charlie Booker fumble, was able to recover after this turnover late in the second quarter, because on the very next play, interception here by Nick Duncan.
Yeah, that's one. You see all the open space. Instead of stepping up, you want your quarterback to try to run the ball a little bit. Brown has got to find a way to pick up more running yards, to try to find a way for its offense to get going here. Just have not been able to find anything on the offensive side. Both teams have run 33 plays. Brown's only 71 yards, Harvard up over 200.
Yeah, you see the numbers favor Harvard across the board. That rushing number you mentioned really sticks out. And the first downs as well. Brown, only 3 of them, and they picked up one very late in the first half. Bears just need to find something on offense to get things going, but they will start off on defense and hope that it comes from there, because Harvard will receive the opening kickoff.
You know, it's interesting. Last time we talked about the fact that it was time of possession. It was a literal number in terms of minutes. Today it hasn't necessarily been that. Same number of plays. It's just finding ways to stay on the field, not in terms of time of possession, but in terms of extending drives. Harvard had a turnover there. Brown had an opportunity off of a fumble and immediately threw an interception by Duncan. Can Brown find a running game? That's kind of the question here. That'll be the next big step.
Well, Harvard defensively has been led by a number of players, including DJ Bailey. Luke Hutton has the most tackles on the team with 7, and Owen Holt with 4. Tanner Lee had the interception return for a touchdown. Harvard will look to extend its lead. They've got Northington back there to receive the kickoff, along with Justice Shelton Mosley. First time that we've seen the kicker here, Ben Rosenblatt, who's got a huge leg. His first kick of the day will come here to start off the second half from Harvard Stadium in the Ivy League opener for both of these clubs. Northington has to back up halfway into his end zone, and there you see the big leg from Ben Rosenblatt. Touchback will bring it back out to the 20-yard line. That's the rule here in Ivy League play. They kick off from the 40, and touchbacks go to the 20, different from around the rest of college football. So the Crimson will take over, and we'll see who comes out with quarterback play. It is Joe Viviano standing in the huddle. It was Jake Smith to start the game. He didn't get off to a bad start. Smith was 3 for 5 for 56 yards. He was sacked twice, including the safety in that first quarter. And after the safety, Tim Murphy made the change back at his own 2-yard line, went with his veteran, the 5-year senior Joe Viviano, and he immediately led them on a 98-yard touchdown. Viviano to pass, goes to Ryan Antonellis, his tight end, just across the 25, and a good pickup on first down. When Brown has had success, they've limited Harvard on that first play.
That was a good fake that time by Viviano. He forced the Brown line to shift to the right, bit on the fake. That gave him enough time to roll out the opposite way and make a throw in between 2 tacklers.
Harvard bunches everybody up there close, including the wide receivers. It's got Booker in the backfield. Viviano will throw again to the outside. He goes again to Antonellis. Stood up right at the yard to gain. And it looks like a first down for the Crimson on a pickup of 5 yards.
This is a really good play by the senior quarterback. Brown brings 2 extra runners from Viviano's left. He feels that immediately. Quick turn to his right, quick strike into the flat, throwing away from the pressure and picking up the play in the first down.
Two wide receivers spread wide to each side. Viviano will shift the option play. He'll keep it himself across to the 37-yard line and a gain of 7. Viviano, who comes from an athletic family. His father played basketball at Holy Cross. His mother also went to school in Worcester and was a 100-meter hurdler. Easy to see where he gets his athletic gifts. Crimson will spread it out here on 2nd and 4. Viviano to pass again. Looking to the left side. Justice Shelton Mosley's got the grab in Brown territory. Shakes off a tackle down to the 27-yard line. Some good moves after the catch from the junior wide receiver.
Important to get him going. Last time against Rhode Island, his first catch didn't come until the 4th quarter. Here, that was his first catch. Of this, it's still in the 3rd quarter, but a good strike from Viviano.
This time he gives to Booker, going right side, bounces to the outside. Booker with a late burst and a touchdown. 27 yards, and Harvard extends its advantage to 27-2.
Well, Isaiah Tompkins wants a hold on Brown here in the backfield, but watch how long the right side of this line holds its blocks. It's a great job, and it allows Booker to take his time finding his lane, and he bounces outside and in for the score.
Charlie Booker had 2 runs of 50 or more yards last week. He shows that explosion once again, bouncing to the outside, and Jake McIntyre on for the point after attempt. Harvard with a terrific first drive, 80 yards to open up this second half. McIntyre splits the sticks, and the Crimson go on top 28-2 in under 2 minutes on this first drive. Crimson looking like that Ivy League preseason favorite, up by 26. Year quarterback Nick Duncan has had a tough day. He'll pass on the first 3rd quarter play for the Brown offense, and a good timing play gets it over to Jacob Prawl for a good pickup.
And remember, Brown's last drive of the first half, we saw a play like that. Quick out to the left side, quick out to the right side. That kind of play's been there for Brown. Now it's on Duncan to be able to make that strong throw. Can you mix in the running game, though?
Duncan was 11 of 20 for 67 yards and 2 interceptions in the first half. He'll be back to pass again, and the same play nets them a first down.
Well, if Harvard's going to play off, that play's going to be there. Wesley Ogsbury was in coverage that time for Harvard, and 2 plays in a row, that picks up a first down, gives you a little momentum here progressing down the field.
Brown's offensive coordinator in his 12th season, Frank Sheehan. Phil Estes is an offensive mind, and Brown is typically near the top of the Ivy League when it comes to putting up offensive numbers. Duncan to the right side, and out of bounds. Isaac Whitney made the grab, but stepped out, wasn't able to get that foot down before heading into the Harvard sideline.
It's a tough throw to make with your momentum going on the run, trying to feed a receiver going that direction. Sometimes that ball's going to sail on you a little bit, and that was the case there. Just led his target too far out of bounds.
2nd down at the 32. Duncan had a touchdown run of 50 yards last week, also 1 of 5 yards. Hasn't gotten much done on the ground. He'll give to Harriet, and he's just pounded back. Anthony Camargo, the junior from La Puente, California, gave Harriet a big hug and sent him the wrong way.
Watch him shoot the gap here. With the replay coming, just read it well, and he ends up jumping through. There's never a white jersey in front of him trying to make a block. It's just a good read to get to the ball. Harvard
clearly game planned to stop 2 guys in this game, Nick Duncan and L.J. Harriet, and so far they have been perfect in achieving those goals. 3rd down and 10. Duncan met by Bailey and a swarm of other Crimson defenders. A 3-yard loss, looks like, back at the 27-26-yard line. And the Harvard defense picks up right where it left off in that first half.
Well, it's just a speed rush, and it's the runners getting around the outside of the Brown line.
Ryan Kopech has had a busy day back there punting. Angles one to the right side. This is not a great punt. Tim Murphy, we could see him on the sideline motioning to the officials where it went out. And it looks like Harvard will get this inside the 40-yard line, right at the 39.
Great field position. That already the 9th punt of the game for Brown. And it's a Harvard defense that once again holds serve. Brown does get a first down out of that, but we take another look of this sack and just watch the rush on the outside. Speed to get out wide, speed to get out wide. Beats the Rockers. Both tackles get beat, and there ends up being, and once you kind of have to spread out, the inside lane opens up, so you get 4 crimson jerseys in on the quarterback, who ends up having no chance.
Bailey was joined by Stoneheart, bringing Duncan down. That punt just 12 yards. The Crimson get great field position to start their second drive of the half. The give comes to Aaron Shamplin, and the freshman takes it inside the 35, down to the 32-yard line. Late flag comes out at the end of that play.
Well, it was Jarvis who busted in, and he stayed home on what he thought was a fake, ended up not being so, and from Harvard's reaction, it looks like this may be against the Crimson.
DJ Mott had his arms out.
Personal foul, lay hit after the play, number 71 offense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
It was Mott who was called for the penalty. Came after the play ended, so it will be second down here. Keep an eye on 71.
Right there, you see that late shove after the play. That's what was called, and Harvard forced to move back.
Back all the way to the 47-yard line. They need to get to the 29 for a first down. He's second and 18 for the Crimson here. 4 wide receivers for Viviano, who's been out there since the second quarter, and he finds Shamplin over the middle. He'll get a bunch of that yardage back. Shamplin close to the 30, and he's ridden out of bounds.
Well, Brown ends up bringing late pressure, which leaves the middle part of the field right in that space open. Watch as all these guys are going to rush. It leaves a wide open space here, which ends up fitting in perfectly. Good throw by Viviano to hit his target.
Shamplin from Paramount, California, also recruited by Columbia and UMass. Give to Booker. He's got the first down. Needed about 1.5 yards and gets more than double that. It's actually Shamplin on the run. He's getting an extended run of playing time here. Freshman, 5'10", 180 pounds. Able to keep those feet moving. Fresh set of downs for the Crimson, who have moved the ball and have looked very good here in the third quarter. Here's Scott on the give from Viviano. Down to the 21 and a pickup of 6 more.
Harvard has found some room in between the Brown secondary and its front. Watch, his space is going to open up right here. Empty space, and he hits his target, Adam Scott. I mean, just they found enough space in between this Brown defense to offset the pass rush with these quick throws.
Adam Scott from Denton, Texas, who was one of the leading receivers last year for the Crimson. Give comes to Henry Taylor around the edge, and he'll only get a little bit more than 1.
That was one on the option that if Viviano had kept it, he probably had a lot of room on the near side, the way that whole Brown line shifted out wide to the ball carrier.
Tim Murphy relaying the signals to Viviano. You get a look at Henry Taylor, junior from Greenwich, Connecticut. Having a big day, only 1 game in his first 2 years in Cambridge. Give to Shamplin. He's got the first down inside the 15, and it takes about 4 or 5 Brown Bears to finally bring him down. First and day, third down here for the Crimson. Need to pick up about 12. Viviano left side for Scott, looking to bounce to the outside, but the Bears collapse on it. It was Terrell Smith, a physical senior from Newtown Square, Pennsylvania, in on the tackle, and Crimson will come out for their first field goal attempt of the day.
Brown willing to play off there on a 3rd and 12, so you have the open man Scott in space, but it's well short, and he's going to force the field goal try.
This will be about a 28-yard field goal attempt. Lee will be So Smart will come out to kick it off. Brown has got to feel just overwhelmed here. They were coming in on some pretty high spirits after last week's win. A lot did not go right in that contest, but they still came out with a 5-point win. It was an interesting game that they hosted last week. They were playing a former Brown quarterback, James Perry, who had done a terrific job at Princeton. As an offensive coordinator, taking over at Brown. Boylan will just pick this up on a hop.
Boy, he never saw that ball, Alex. He was looking through the sun, looking back down into the stands, and he just never saw it and backed away, and that was the right play. See that fly ball lost in the sun or lost in the lights, and Boylan just never saw it. Momentarily, and watch, it's a good block held here that allows the extra yards.
And a note for our viewers that are looking at the score bug as we get a handoff coming, and this is Andrew Bolton taking it across to the 35-yard line. They're having some clock issues in the stadium, and that in turn is affecting our clock, so it's not official the time that you're seeing on your screen, and we'll update you as best we can, but the officials are the ones keeping official time. As this is intercepted by Harvard, Charlie Walker takes it inside the 20, and the Crimson with another pick, their 3rd of the day.
Well, Alex, is another telegraph throw, and what a game Walker's played. Watch the eyes here. They're just looking all the way through, same angle, and it's picked off. Walker has been outstanding in this game for Harvard, made a number of big plays, number of big tackles, and he read that one clean to make the interception.
A big day for the junior linebacker, and another Brown drive ends with a turnover, and Harvard a short field taking over at the 18. The Crimson defense, they didn't have a bad game last week against Rhode Island, but it certainly was not up to their standards. They gave up 17 points, which in the eyes of the Crimson defensive players was way too much. Defense they feel like should be a unit they can rely on. Give here to Champlin, bounces off a block to the outside. And to the 13-yard line, Aaron Shamplin's gotten a long run here in the second half, and the freshman has really proved his coaches right here, giving him a lot of playing time. As you see, Brown has Jorquel Condamina, cornerback, go down outside the boundary.
Well, you talk about the defense in terms of their performance. That is a 0 in terms of what the defense has allowed today. The only points have been on the safety. The defense has been outstanding in this game.
6 more yards for Champlin gives him 23 on 6 carries. He's out there with Viviano. Joe took over not long after the safety. Jake Smith was tackled in his own end zone on this end of the field. Viviano, since coming in, has pretty much made every right decision. On the option, absorbs a big hit from behind and picks up maybe a yard. That was Darrell Banfield, came up from behind with a bear hug.
Well, it was Connor Coughlin in pursuit for Brown, and that was actually the right decision. Watch how he was nowhere to pitch because of the pursuit right here. The only play was to turn it back inside, and Viviano did pick up a couple of yards out of it.
Banfield listed at 235 pounds on the Brown roster, but his coaches say he weighed in coming into the season at 310 pounds, which is a very stout defensive lineman, and it goes to show you can't always trust the number on the roster. Viviano on the run, fires to the end zone. Flag goes down, and a touchdown is the call. Adam Scott on the reception.
Well, the flag was thrown first, then you got the touchdown signal, which leads you to believe that this may be coming back. But that was a great job by Tim O'Brien in the backfield. Could have had a holding call, but he held off at the last minute behind Viviano, allowing him to escape. But let's get the penalty. Special teams units coming out, so Harvard thinks that it will hold.
There are 2 fouls in the play. Pass interference, offense number 43. It's a 15-yard penalty. It'll be 3rd down. After the play, personal foul, lay hit number 44. That's it. Penalties after this to the goal, automatic 1st down.
So because the foul comes on a late hit, that ends up, so Harvard moves back. But watch right here as O'Brien, instead of holding, ended up laying off. That allowed Viviano to escape. So basically, Harvard moves back on the pass interference and then moves forward again on the late hit. So that's why it becomes a 1st down and not 3rd down.
So fresh set of downs. Harvard will actually take over. Let's see where they spot the ball. Some confusion on the officials' part. So touchdown comes off the board. Now the dead ball foul will be enforced after where the pass interference would have led the Crimson. This has got our officiating crew all out of sorts. Been a challenging day. They're also keeping the official time right now. There's 4 and change, we think, left in the quarter. Again, that time on your screen is not official. The ball will be spotted back at the 13-yard line, and it's 1st and 10 for the Crimson. They'll leave Viviano back in there.
Well, it does end up working a little bit in Brown's favor because it takes the touchdown off, but you go back 15 and only forward half the distance.
2 wideouts split to the right, 1 to the left here for Viviano. He's got Champlin with him in the backfield. And timeout taken by the senior signal caller. Didn't like the look that he was given by Brown.
Well, Brown had 8 in the box that time against Viviano and nowhere to go with it, so he decides better of it to call for time here around the 4-minute mark. But Harvard, who's done a really nice job to answer every single time, got the ball back. They've been the recipient of a couple of turnovers, and the offense has kind of settled into its own here under Viviano. You know, it's interesting sometimes when you throw out how a quarterback reacts from a benching, and whether it was because of Viviano or to try to bring something up for Smith. But Viviano has bounced back, stepped in like nothing's happened, and has played very, very well.
I mentioned Harvard has owned this series as of late. They've won 6 consecutive meetings. The Bears have not won a game against the Crimson since 2010. They haven't won here at Harvard Stadium since 1998. And Harvard obviously leading by 29 points, off to a very great turn in keeping that streak at home against the Bears alive. On 1st and 10, Viviano has 3 wide receivers to his right. He'll fake the give, avoids a tackle. Viviano on the run, turns upfield. He's down to the 8-yard line and brought down by Coughlin, the free safety.
Well, it was Jarvis who brought the initial pressure that time, and it was Champlin who ended up helping on the block. Watch right here as he picks up just enough of the block to allow Viviano to escape and then get wide, and then another block thrown right there that allows Viviano to turn it inside.
That was Ben Schultz on that second block. Played 9 games last year for the Crimson, junior from Minnesota. 2nd down and 5 for the Crimson. Looking to pour it on. Champlin gets the give up the middle, and he is in for the touchdown. The freshman with his first score as a Crimson here at home.
Good lane here, good blocking. Going to find that seam right there and then cut back through the middle as Champlin finds enough space at Harvard rolling right now.
Champlin scored a touchdown last week down in the Ocean State. And Harvard can make it a 36-point lead with the McIntyre point after. He has come alive, giving the team a nice spark. Booker had a good first half for Harvard, as McIntyre's kick is perfect, and the Crimson run their lead to 37-2. Well, Eric, we came into this not expecting a game like this. Brown seemed like a team with a lot of promise, a lot of confidence, and for the Bears, this is maybe their biggest game of the season. You think about something that Tim Murphy talked about earlier this season. He says Brown, they don't have necessarily that stalwart rival like Harvard does with Yale. They look forward to the game at the end of the year, but this is the real big game for Brown every season, so just as important as any other for the Bears, and it's surprising that they've come out flat today.
Just haven't been able to move the ball on offense. That's been the problem for Brown. There just has been nothing on offense. We've mentioned this stat a few times, that this is a team that's only averaged 2.4 yards per play, and that's not going to cut it, no matter what device you're watching on.
Yeah, a reminder, you can tune in on any number of ways. Thank you for checking us out on Nesson and on the Ivy League Network. You can watch on your phone on the Ivy League app. The kickoff comes to Boylan once again. He'll return it back from his goal line. Gets to the 15 and is stood up there. There has just not been much room here for Scott Boylan to operate after the long kickoff return for a touchdown 1 week ago.
Harvard's done a nice job in its kick coverage each time. Boylan really has not been able to do much so far today.
So the Bears will take over at their 16-yard line. Nick Duncan has had a tough day, and as a result, he will not be back out there to start this drive. It's last year's starting quarterback, TJ Linta, who takes over. Linta, 6'4", 220-pound senior from Branford, Connecticut. He became the starter last year by the 4th game, played 8 games last year, and starts things off with a handoff. Jacob Prowl, the wide receiver, out to the 19, a pickup of 3. So Nick Duncan, 14 of 25 for 86 yards and 3 interceptions, -20 on the ground. Never really could get this offense going.
Cameron Klein there, even though he didn't finish off the tackle, he still forced that play inside, and again, Brown has had a hard time turning things upfield.
Linta's first pass attempt of the season nets a first down to Prowl. Over to the 29-yard line.
That's been the most effective play for Brown. It's been Prowl in the slot there, just a little out route. Watch as the Harvard receivers are going to play off, and just a turnaround space here on the outside to haul in that catch and get to the sideline.
Wesley Ogsbury, the junior from Colorado, driving him out of bounds. Linta back to pass again, and old reliable Jacob Prowl on the outside, the sophomore from Tip City, Ohio. Mentioned it earlier, but he's been compared favorably to Alex Jetty, who was the leading wide receiver a year ago for the Bears. He was a major loss for this team, and they felt that Prowl could do a lot of the same things that Jetty did last year, including being part of a return game, although it's been mostly Boylan and Whitney back to receive kicks. And how about another play over to the wideout?
Well, that was one that was all by design, because if you watch the Brown line, they all kind of just went to the ground early to try to just chip on the Harvard rushers, and only gave so much time. That throw had to be there on the outside, and they've hit it 3 times in a row.
3 for 3, 21 yards for TJ Linta. A year ago, threw for over 1,000 yards, averaged about 130 per game. 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Pump fakes it, and going deep down the sideline. Overthrew Prowl, his intended target. Tim Hale was there on the coverage along with Anthony Camargo.
Well, last week we told you this. Rhode Island had a really good play fake. Watch as neither guy bites on the fake. They stay home with their target, and that ball is forced to the sideline.
Obviously, you know where you are in the situation. Harvard pretty much can only play for the pass, as that is in and out of the hands of Isaac Whitney.
Well, they've only had to play for the pass, and that's part. This has been a completely one-dimensional Brown offense, which is it's really remarkable.
Yeah, it's been interesting that Brown has, to my recollection, only had one handoff to a true running back, Andrew Bolton. The other running plays have gone to Harriet, trying to get around the edge. Linta drops it. He was knocked out of his hands, able to jump back onto it. Ball was knocked out of his hands. Believe it was Brogan McPartland, the sophomore, who knocked it out of his hands, and Linta able to pounce back on. So McPartland, the sophomore, getting his hand there. And Ryan Kopech back out to punt after a promising start to that drive. Linta cannot overcome the terrific Harvard defense. They have pitched a shutout today. Fair catch called for by Harvard's Henry Taylor, and the Crimson will take over at their 23-yard line. Just about a minute to go in the third quarter. Again, that time on the scorebug is not exact because of some timing issues that they've had here at Harvard Stadium. But the score bug, there is no issue at all with the score. 38-2, the Crimson decisively in control of this one.
Again, the clock in the stadium is run as well as we said, so they are keeping it down on the field. And Harvard's going to make a change here at quarterback once again.
And they'll go back to Jake Smith, who started the game. And you like this move by the coaching staff. With the game right now where it is, you can build a little bit more confidence in the guy that you had back out there to start things off. This is Noah Reimers on the initial give. He'll get out close to the first down, pickup of 9 for the junior from Virginia.
It's really good blocking again in this play for Harvard. Watch right here as this is just going to hold up firm seal, and there's just a huge hole right there to pick up the yardage.
Well, two of the concerns for the Crimson last week against Rhode Island, a leaky secondary and a leaky offensive line, and today both of them have really stood up to the test. Smith, 3 of 5 passing before he was taken out of the game for 56 yards. He'll once again hand to Reimers. Big hole opens up in front, and late power to force his way to the 39. Good second down run for the junior, as Harvard gets a third running back in on some of this action. We'll wait for the official signal as to the end of the quarter, but time running out here at Harvard Stadium with the Crimson on top, 38-2, and that will bring us to the end of the third quarter. Harvard had a 21-2 lead after halftime, and the Crimson are able to grow that out to 36 points ahead of their conference rival.